Bodies pulled out of rivers and people evacuated from their homes. The devastating impact of floods in KZN. Massive fires rage in Cape Town and parts of the Winelands. The White House rolls out the red carpet for solidarity and AfriForum. And in China, people turn to mourning to get their hands on viral noodles. Hello, I'm Jane Dutton.
This is Eyewitness News.
Rescue teams have recovered the bodies of 7 people who were swept away by floodwaters. 5 bodies, which washed up in a canal in Lamontville, south of Durban, were recovered, and the bodies of 2 women were found ashore at 2 separate locations in Durban. The South African Weather Service has issued a level 2 weather warning for the province, indicating the possibility of further rainfall throughout the day. Emergency services have been activated to support the ongoing relief efforts.
We've received reports that there are houses that have been flooded and there are houses that have collapsed. And at this stage, we do not have an exact number of the houses affected. And we've also received information that there are people that washed away in Lamontville. The MEC has asked the team to be closer to the situation.
While parts of KZN continue to battle brutal floods, President Cyril Ramaphosa has called on global leaders to strengthen disaster management and ramp up disaster responses. Ramaphosa made the comments during the opening of the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meeting currently underway in Cape Town today. This follows meetings between the deputies on the G20 finance track at the start of the week.
As disaster strikes, as bridges are washed away, as schools and hospitals are washed away with floods that they have never seen before, that they know now emanate from climate change. They are not able to rebuild those roads, those bridges with greater ease without imposing a great debt burden on their economies.
Ministers and other high-level delegates will be engaging on the debt burden on emerging economies and global economic growth. And this all comes on the back of the news that South Africa's inflation has increased to 3.2% in January. That'll hit your shopping basket as prices go up. In the Western Cape, Cape Town firefighters are battling a massive blaze in Newlands. The fire broke out over the weekend along an inaccessible stretch of the mountain. Windy conditions have been hampering their efforts.
We are cognizant that a change in weather conditions may influence the situation. City of Cape Town Fire and Rescue resources, as well as working on fire crews, national parks and volunteer wildfire services, are tending to active flare-ups and are endeavouring to keep the perimeter secured.
Many hiking trails on and around the mountain remain closed.
4 helicopters are still waterbombing the fire line overhead, while ground crews are doing mopping-up operations. No property damage or injuries have been reported at this stage.
The Cape Winelands District Municipality says 2 of the 5 fires in the Witzenberg area are still active. The family of a child killed in a crash involving Sekhukhune United player Sean Mogaila has denied they gave him their blessing to return to the field. Mogaila was arrested in November after crashing his luxury vehicle into a car carrying 9-year-old Khomolemo Mavimbela, her mother, Kio, and a 13-year-old neighbour. The soccer player fled the scene before handing himself over to police. Mogaila faces charges of culpable homicide, reckless and negligent driving, and fleeing the scene. After being released on 20,000 rand bail in November, he recovered from his injuries before returning to the pitch. This month, Sekhukhune United claimed that Mavimbela's family had given their blessing for the striker to play again.
We as the Kekana and Mavimbela families do refute the claims by the club, Sekhukhune United, that they have been in consultation or have received a blessing from us as the families.
He returns to the Tembisa Magistrate Court on the 19th of May. It seems one trip to the White House is not enough. AfriForum will have more meetings over the next few days. The minority interest lobby group met with senior representatives of Trump's administration yesterday, saying this is part of its fight for the interest of Afrikaners. Trump has offered to rehouse white Afrikaners as refugees in his country on the back of lies AfriForum has been peddling about land expropriation.
Afrikaner interest lobby group AfriForum, despite crying wolf after being exposed globally in a lie about the so-called genocide in South Africa, is doubling down. In a visit to the White House, it's asked for intensified pressure against ANC leaders to be helped securing cultural space for Afrikaners in this country and to act strongly against hate speech, which it says incites violence such as farm murders where Afrikaners are a target. This is despite statistics that prove otherwise. Just last week, the police revealed that only one farmer was killed in the third quarter of the 2024-25 financial year. In further undermining South Africa's sovereignty, it's asked the Americans to weigh in on the Bella Law and to revisit the Expropriation Act. AfriForum also wants Americans to assist Afrikaners who choose not to take up the offer to become refugees in the U.S. It says another meeting is scheduled in the coming days. Tsidi Madia, Eyewitness News.
Stock up on chickens. Their immediate future is in doubt. Poultry farms have been warned about the resurgence of bird flu infecting the market. The virus, which infects commercial birds, could be disastrous and has the potential to wipe out half of the poultry flocks.
The outbreak that we had in 2023 was disastrous from a number of points of view. It cost the industry 9.5 billion rand. A lot of our companies went under. They couldn't, after they lost all their stock, they couldn't start up the business again.
It is a crisis because, as we indicated in our last meeting, there seems to be no plan.
Social Development Minister Sisisi Hlophe and MPs have slammed the Postbank for its failure to resolve glitches in issuing new black cards for social grant beneficiaries. Hlophe has described the situation as a, quote, crisis and narrated how some elderly beneficiaries are forced to queue for hours. The Minister was briefing the committee on issues affecting Sassa as well as progress in the investigation into vulnerabilities in the grant application system.
Even around town, they are so scattered. If not, their tellers have no clue of what they are doing. If they do, their system, it provides 12 cards in 4 hours.
John Hlophe for president. Apparently his detractors should prepare for that possibility, that the impeached former judge become the country's next leader.
What happens if, for example, he becomes president? Are we going to be worried about the fact that, he's going to be appointing judges, and appointing judges is such a sacred responsibility that a judge who's impeached cannot be given that responsibility?
His lawyer, Advocate Dali Mpofu, has today told the Western Cape High Court that it's a, quote, fatal myth that the National Assembly merely rubber-stamped the nomination of Hlophe to sit on the Judicial Service Commission. The Democratic Alliance, Freedom Under Law and Corruption Watch have lodged separate applications in the Western Cape High Court to set aside that decision. ANC is unveiling its newly appointed Gauteng Provincial Task Team following the reconfiguration of its Provincial Executive Committee.
The Gauteng Provincial Task Team is being inaugurated. It is led as co-conveners by Comrade Amos Masondo on my immediate right, and provincial convener Comrade Panyaza Lusufi, and a deputy provincial convener, Comrade Ntombi Mehwe, next to Comrade Panyaza, and provincial coordinator next to me, Comrade Hope Papo, and provincial deputy coordinator Nomantu Raleho Nkomo, and provincial fundraiser Tasnim Mutara.
And according to the BBC, foodies in China have been doing radical things to get their hands on a noodle dish. They're flocking to a funeral home after a noodle dish served at its canteen went viral on social media. As word began to spread about its noodles, hordes of diners, some posing as mourners, began showing up. Respecting their, creativity, the canteen says it will allow some members of the public to eat, but just not to disturb genuine mourners. We'll leave it on that. See you for more. Don't forget to download the EWN app.
Eyewitness News, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, log on to ewn.co.za or ewn.mobi.